about it. There we go. And I think we are live. So let me just refresh on another screen to make sure that we are indeed live. And we should be good to go. I think we are. Anyway, right. So welcome, everybody. So day 2. What another masterful performance there from Russell. And yeah, I got loads out of it, to be honest with you. It was super cool to listen to him, how he put everything together. And I personally had some real light bulb moments as well. So day 2 really started with, he was talking about lead magnets and then started going into examples. And I just love the way that Russell talks about stories and things like that. So let's just go into about, kind of like what stories that he was saying and how it worked. And what he was doing was, first off, he talked about a friend of his who owned a pizza place, right? And he wanted to run an experiment with him, wanted to see how good it would be for his business to have an email list, because automatically you wouldn't think of a pizza house having an email list and using email marketing, right? Simple. So the guy actually agreed to collect email addresses for 30 days, right? So every customer that came in, he asked them for their email address. I don't know if he actually went for some kind of, whether it be an incentive for people to get their email address or whatever it was, but he ended up with about 600 on his list, which was great. And then Russell said to him, look, what I want you to do is this. Every day at 4 o'clock, send an email out letting them know that they can get a pizza. If they don't know what they're doing for dinner, then they can get access to a pizza, right? So, and it can be ready, right? And to give them a specific number. So it was a different number than everything else that he'd been using so far in his ads or anything like that. So he could see how many customers he got, right? And what he found was that his best customers, his top customers, were coming in 2 or 3 times a week instead of 2 or 3 times a quarter, right? So, that's a huge thing on its own, the fact that he was getting more customers. And what also he noticed was he was getting 4 times the orders through that specific phone number than any of the other ads that he was using. So I'm just going to make sure that this is, yep, it's live, hurrah. If you are watching, I can see you watching, just post a comment below so I know that you guys are listening, right? So and then he went into an example of where he effectively got like a gym owner to try and reignite a dead email list, right? And what it was they had like a file of people which had been customers before and then kind of like disappeared, right? So what he did was he said, right, let's get this email address and send out an email to them. And again, this started filling his gym up, right? And it was crazy. Another example he went through was the babysitter, right? Now, he was always wondering why she was always booked. And it turns out she would obviously take everyone's contact details and she would send a message out to each of the 5 or 6 families that she normally do babysitting for, saying that she was available that night, but it's first come, first served. And then he started moving on to a network marketing example and lead magnets for the MLM and how to get, and the example he was talking about, because I think it was ketosis or something like that. So it was a health thing, right? So it's trying to help you lose weight and feel pumped and excited and brain tuned in and all that good stuff, right? So it was really just to basically, he went through several different examples and several different businesses, which all showed the need and how important it was to have an email list, right? And I thought that was, gold. I thought it's incredible when you actually break it down and you think, well, some people might say, oh, well, I don't need an email list. And I've gone through this example before. When I ran my own business, it was a bricks and mortar business, doing internal blinds and plantation shutters, right? And you wouldn't imagine that having an email list would make an impact on our business, but it did, because what we were able to do, we were able, using our accounting software, we were able to segment those people which had spent the most with us over the last 5 or 6 years, right? So these are the highest spenders, repeat buyers, and all that good stuff. And we narrowed it right down to about 36 people. We sent out an email with a specific offer for one of the high ticket products and services that we had, and that resulted in, I think it was either 3,000 or 4,500 in sales. So it's super important to have an email list, right? So let's get on to what you came on next. And when it comes to, so basically we're saying like, any kind of business needs an email list. But when it comes to actually starting building your lead magnet out, you've got to decide who is your dream customer, right? And if you read the .com Secrets book, you will probably understand the way that this is all being put together, right? You've probably seen it before and heard it before, but it's always super cool to go over things again and again and again, which is why a lot of people do like the One Funnel Away challenge with Russell and ClickFunnels, and they do it over again, because there's always something that they've either added or there's something that you missed first time round. So it's important to do that. So if you haven't done that, there should be, again, a link on the homework page so you can go and get that. And let's get into it. Right, so we need to think about your dream customer, right? Now, if it was something that you could work with forever, someone that is your best or favorite type of customer, and you really need to drill down, you get crystal clear on who you're looking for, right? And then step 2, you got to think about what is the end goal, what is the result that you want to get them to achieve. So for like a dentist, it would be, the result for them would be to have straight white teeth, right? And that's kind of like the big goal. And the way that he actually put things together, he started thinking about, right, okay, well, if you've done something, then think about the steps that you took to achieve it in the first place, especially if you're going to start teaching others or creating lead magnets or courses or products or services or anything like that. Start writing out the steps that you did to achieve that result, because that is called the framework. And you've got a big framework, but then you can also use a framework as a lead magnet as well, or take something out from that framework and use that as your lead magnet. But remember, this framework can also be your product, right? And as I said before, you can just pick something out, and that's that. So the secret for all of this, the whole game, is to have a bunch of frameworks. And that's the key to creating anything. So whenever you're looking to funnel hack someone else's offer, or you start looking at offers or anything else like that, see if you can identify other people's frameworks within their marketing, right? That's the kind of like how we want to do it. And pushing forward, if you think about it, the big result sometimes can't, it's not all that sexy. I mean, for Russell, he gave the example of saying like, well, his big goal is to help people grow their businesses through sales funnels, right? And that's probably not a great hook. That wouldn't get too many opens there if you had an email sent out with that title, it probably wouldn't get a bunch of opens, right? So just think about this. We go back and like I said, we splinter it all out. So we splinter little pieces out of each, the big goal, and then you splinter out smaller goals, and then the core goals are kind of like a third level down. And that is how you can then start growing your business, because you can create lead magnets, products, services, everything else like that through these splinter products, right? So the splinter frameworks, it's all about frameworks at the end of the day, right? So if you think about how to actually teach the frameworks, you tell the story of how you learned and how you learned it yourself and what you learned from it. Step 2 is going to be the strategy of how to do it, but not the tactics yet. But step 3, that's where you give the tactics, which is step by step how to do it. And that was kind of like it. That was it for today. And he said us some more homework as well, which for the moment I can't seem to access. So it was another one of his one pages that he's got going, and he ran through how to put it all together, which was super cool. And if you've been here through having an email from me, in fact, I might leave this, I might put it in the comments here as well, because he's actually got a product, which again is showing people how to build their businesses through getting leads and all that good stuff, right? But it's always excellent to start off with a template of some description. And he's got like this swipe file, which has got like 106 of them. So I'm going to leave that link there. Hands up, it is an affiliate link. If you decide to purchase, they're going to pay me about $2, right? So just putting it out there. So that's what we're looking at the moment. So if you do get to see this, that's great. If you are listening on the podcast, then like I say, go into the show notes and I will be back again tomorrow with a debrief again on day 3. There'll be reminders sent out by email. There'll also be reminders into the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group and you're listening on the podcast, for example, because I've got my phone recording the podcast as we speak. And for those people listening on the podcast, I'm actually doing this live in the Facebook group as well. But you need to be in the Facebook group. So go through the show notes to get access to the Facebook group so you can get all this good stuff and everything else that comes with it. And we'll all grow and survive and do super well together. And tomorrow I might even had a bit of a shave or a trim on the beard as well. So for those people listening, that will mean nothing to you. But anyway, the end result is I'm having a bunch of fun with this. I really am enjoying the sessions. I've got a surprise for you tomorrow as well, which is to be announced. So make sure that you do listen in. Obviously, this training, this live comes after Russell's, so make sure you are available and around for that. And if you're catching the replay, just drop us a hashtag replay, and I'll catch up with all of you again tomorrow.